One, and we're live. So, good evening, everybody. It's a time that is so important, again, so crucial. So, I have somebody important. We are discussing Isese, that is the indigenous faith practice, and the challenges it is facing, that is the orders in modern time. So, joining me tonight, this evening, to discuss this important topic is Araba Olatunji Somorin. Uh, I don't want to do the introduction myself, so I would like you. Good evening, sir, and kindly help us do the introduction so that people will know who we have.
Thank you, Segun, for having me. Orúkọ mi ni Ọlátúnjí ọmọ Somorin. Èmi ni Àràbà Olúawo ìlú Ẹ̀pọ̀ṣọ́ Rẹ́mọ ní ìjọba ìbílẹ̀ Rẹ́mọ North Local Government ní ìpínlẹ̀ Ogun State. And I am going to say exactly what I've just said for brothers and sisters who may not understand that language totally. My names are Olatunji, the son of Somorin. I am the Oluwoifa, the Araba of Eposho Remo, a town in Remo North Local Government in Ogun State, Nigeria. I am also a co-founder of Ketus Ifa Institute with my Iyawo Olukokemi, who and some other elders in Remo as whole are steering the ship of Ketus Ifa Institute. So that's a brief introduction of myself, unless you ask me to say some other things about who I am.
That's sufficient for a start. And then we just want to start on that note as well. You have an institute. What do you do at this institute?
Oh, we have an institute, yes. It is called K2C5 Institute. At K2C5 Institute, our responsibility, our primary aim is to promote, is to teach people about Ifa or Isese, as you have rightly put it. So our primary aim at our institute is that we are teaching indigenous knowledge, indigenous skills, what we call Asian technology in form of Ifa and Isese practice. We also intend to show to people that Ifa is far more than belief practice. Ifa is far more than even an encyclopedia of knowledge and information that guides our existence in this realm and even realms beyond. So Ifa is not even limited to a particular group of people or locality in any country, even though those that are called the Yorubas now plays a prominent role, have a special role where Ifa is. But Ifa speaks to existence before we were born, now that even things that will happen before, after we will have left. So at Ketus Ifa Institute, we program ourselves and we are teaching Ifa and indigenous language in 6 different languages. First and foremost, my mother tongue, Yoruba, English, Spanish, Portuguese, Faransé, Russia, and Russia language. So these are our targets. Presently, we have Ketus Ifa Institute incorporated in Trinidad and Tobago, a twin island in the Caribbean. We also have Ketus Ifa Institute in Canada and in some other countries. But our international headquarters is at Eposho Remo in Ogun State.
Wow, that's interesting. So, how long have you been doing this? And to what extent can you describe the acceptance of the teaching or trying to translate acceptance of indigenous faith practice to generations? How acceptable has it been? And since when have you been doing it? And how will you rate the acceptance of it?
Well, I would say,
Particularly among descendants of Oduduwa. Particularly among descendants of Oduduwa.
okay, I was born almost about 6 decades ago. So born into the family of Gongon Ogun in this town, Oderemo. So, and I've known Isese, I've known Ifa practices since I know my hands as right hand different from left hand. But practicing Ifa, having done Itowobiye is what is called the process where you will sit before elders, and elders will attest to you having gone around the wisdom board. Ìyẹn ni pé ó kọ́fà ó mọ́fà, wọ́n wá tọwọ́ ẹ̀ sínú ìyẹ̀, ó ṣe àṣeyọrí pé òun ti kọ́fà mọ́fà, wọ́n tọwọ́ bí ẹ̀. So I did the tọwọ́ bí at age 19. So, and from 19 years old, despite my conventional studies, I have been practicing as an awo. So I am an engineer by profession. I read agricultural engineering in the University of Ife, Obafemi University. I did my master's in the same agricultural engineering in University of Ibadan, and I did my doctorate program. But today, Ife is what I engineer. In terms of acceptability, so in a nutshell, I've been a practicing AO for not less than 35, 40 years, knowing quite well what I'm doing. I am going to differ from a lot of people who think Isese is going down or Isese is not being known. I think things are changing and things are different. I will tell you point blank, yes, the borrowed religion, that is my own word, the imported religion, they are established. They have grown, they have systems. But I can tell you, we are not even in competition with them as a way of life, because out of every 100 people who claim to practice this religion or that religion, down deep inside them, they still make recourse to Isese in one way or the other. That is a known fact. So I used to
I'm
tell
interested
people,
at this point.
okay,
I am interested at this, but before I say anything further, kindly help us tilt your camera, like just so that we can see your face properly. There's so much headroom. Okay, so we can see you now. Good. Thank you so much.
is this okay?
Yes,
Okay.
this is okay. Yeah, let's maintain this.
Just tell me when.
So this is okay.
Okay.
Just avoid so much headroom so we can see your face instead of the headroom up atop your cap. So you said those who even practice the established religion still make recourse to Isheshe. And that's exactly where I want us to really broach this conversation. How? Like, in what ways? In how many ways? Are you saying directly that you meet, you know them, they know you, there are ways you meet, you exchange things? Or are you only saying that, oh, even though you don't meet, there are things they do that are still in one way or the other related to Isheshe? We would like to clear that before we proceed, sir.
Okay. Jẹ́ kí n fi èdè abínibí mi sọ eléyìí kó lè yé àwọn èèyàn wa dáradára.
Okay, so we
Ohun
could
tí
mix
mò
it
ń
so that everybody can understand. Yes.
can understand. Ohun tí mò ń sọ ni wípé Ìṣẹ̀ṣe kì í ṣe ẹ̀sìn, àṣà ni, ìṣe ni, ìwà ni. Àwọn tí wọ́n gba ẹ̀sìn àtọ̀húnrìn wá, bóyá àwọn ọmọlẹ́yìn Jésù ni o, àbí àwọn tó ń gba ìsìláàmù ni o, àbí Hinduism, gbogbo ẹ̀sìn kẹ́sìn tó bá wù kí wọ́n gbà, ẹ̀sìn nìyẹn. Níṣe ló dàbí ẹ̀wù tí èèyàn wọ̀ tó lè bọ́ sílẹ̀. Ṣùgbọ́n àṣà ìṣe jíjẹ mímu ìyẹn wà nínú ẹ̀jẹ̀. Now, what I've just said is that you want me to explain how, why, when I said those who even proclaim and accept the borrowed religion, the imported religion, that they still make recourse. I am choosing my words very well here because I do respect whatever religious form people choose to practice. But what I meant is that go and look at the pastors, the imam, ask for their name. You will see Ajanle Koko. You will hear Ogundano. You will hear Odubela. So these are one way. And even when they give their awards, their children names, why they give them baptism name or names that are in their holy books, for want of a better word, you will still see a lot of them giving them names that are indigenous to their ancestry. And these names, many of them may not know it's Isheshe name. They give their names Akpeke, their children Akpeke, Aduke, Oluwakemi, and so on and so forth. If I tell you the name Aduke, Oruko Ishesheni, people will be surprised. But it's a fact. And I can give claims to it. So by virtue of the names they answer, by virtue of the names they give their children and their descendants. That's one of their recourse. Now, without missing words, why I respect them, some of them, in our own part of Nigeria, we are very tolerant. And that tolerance brought the fact that those who practice the foreign religion, they recognize what their ancestors practice. I used to tell people, you can tell me, oh, our family are Christian and Muslim. I will say, to what generation? You might be a Christian, your father, your mother, your grandfather, your grandparents, but let's continue to dig further and further. Then you will hear one Udubela, one Opafemi. So that is one. Again, look at most when they are giving their children their words to husband or wife. Tó bá di pé ìyàwó máa wọlé, wọ́n á ṣe ìgbésẹ̀ ìgbéyàwó àbí ìfọmọfọ́kọ in the traditionally accepted way that does not exist in their religious books. Wọ́n á tami sẹ́sẹ̀ ìyàwó kó tó wọlé, no matter how Christian they are. They will make sure some water are poured on the feet of the wife before it enters the husband's wife. That is purely traditional. They will also make sure that the husband is not at home when the wife is going to come in. And all these have more profound spiritual and esoteric meaning that we may not have time to go into. And apart from that, we actually even have some of them, very few, and I'm not trying to abuse or pull down anybody, who go to their churches or their mosques on Sunday or Friday, and you see them partaking in Oro Festival, Egungun Festival, all over the Yoruba land. Some of them are even abore or leader in their ancient or their ancestral home shrines. Like our brothers in Osun and Oyo State. We all know that people will say Osun State, Ondo State are predominantly Muslim. That's a fact. But we also know they are also 100% traditional in their practices. When there is a Google festival in Oyo and Osun, everybody is around. And you will find the same people in their various religious bodies. Because, the religious setting is for social fitting. But when people want to speak to their ancestor and they want to communicate with their creator, they go the way their foreparents do it. And that is a fact. Just to mention a few in the way they have their recourse. And again, they have recourse in so many ways. They use special Ifa preparation. They use herbs, which again comes to the fact that Ifa Isese is not about religion. Ní ilẹ̀ káàárọ̀ oòjíire, our language, our food, our clothing, our culture is also our religion. It's not separable. They are all embedded together. I don't know if I've done enough justice to your question. I am not hearing you. Probably you muted yourself.
Apologies. Okay, yes, I'm unmuted now. I've listened to what you just said, and I just want to know whether in clear times you're saying that Isheshe is not a religion, and whether one can be a Christian or Muslim and still do Isheshe without being guilty of having served God and Mammon. Because if you listen to Christians very well, they'll say, do not serve God and Mammon. And then they will then say, oh, if you worship God or you come to church and you make recourse to things like examples we just made now, they may say, oh, you are worshiping God and also still having recourse to Mammon. So are you saying that is not true, or that you can be Christian, Muslim, and still make recourse to Isheshe without having been guilty of serving God and also at the same time Mammon? I want us to clear that.
You are quoting from a holy book that some people believe in. I am not a Christian. I am not a Muslim. I am an Isheshe person. Now, to answer your question, what I am saying point blank is that we, by way of our ancestors, our ways of life, our food, our drink, our culture is inseparable from what this singularly called Esin as religion. So it is only the Christians or the Muslims that will know what they are gaining that make them make recourse or connect with one aspect of Isheshe. So they will know what their book says. But there are quite a lot. Let me even say this. Look at so many traditional worshippers, Onisheshe, Onishegun, Babalawo. The bulk of the people that keep them going, they belong to other religious groups. But I don't want to sound abusive or derogatory. Látijọ́ táláyé ti dáyé, àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn míì náà máa yọ́ wá bá babaláwo àbí ìyáláwo lálẹ́. Babaláwo ò ní yọ́ lọ bá wọn lóru. Never ever.
So that the ones that come to Babalawo will never go to them.
Babalawo, we don't have to go to them. We don't need to go to them.
But in clear terms, I can be practicing any foreign religion and still be in Isheshe without any contradiction. I just want us to be, since you said Isheshe is not religion and has no business and does not affect religious practice if I belong to a religion.
Okay, let me give you this example. Let's say you are a pope or you are the chief imam of somewhere and you have boil, ewo, oso any bikolara, and I know how to use ori, shea butter with one or two other leaves and give you to apply on your boil, and the boil will get inflamed and the inflammation will come down and you will be relieved of pains. Or let's say you have malaria. I know Ebo, Ebide, and some other things to boil in water and give you to drink that will take care of your malaria. How has that impacted on whatever you choose to believe in? Let's say you want to go to an area that is crime riddled, and I have a ring, òrùka ọ̀wọ̀ tí màá fún ẹ pé kó mú lọ kí ọ̀tá má bà ẹ́ kọ́wọ̀ lè jẹ́ fún ẹ lálọ lábọ̀. Tell me how demonic or how devilish that is.
Is that the network? I guess. Okay.
This is why. Okay.
Can you hear me, sir?
So I don't know where. Okay. I don't know where you stop hearing me. But the point I'm trying to make is that Isheshe
we heard you at the point where you said you can give ring and yeah.
Yeah, Isheshe is purely an Asian technology that works well for everyone, no matter your sex, your complexion, the location of the world you are in, or even whatever value system, be it religion or orientation that you claim to practice. It doesn't matter. If I give you a specially prepared bulletproof ring, wear it either as a Christian or a Muslim or a Hindu, it will protect you. Isheshe practices are highly result-oriented. And because of the result orientation, giving the desired result, it takes far more than any religious thing. It's a science. Can you tell me any religious group that does not have television, cell phone in their homes or will not use GPS to locate their location A from point B? No. This is exactly what Isheshe is all about. Ifa divination is a process that will guide you like a compass. You are at point A and you want to get to point B, and you need a direction giver that will give you a perfect direction to reach your destination within the shortest possible time while expending the least energy. That is Ifa for you. It has something to do with your sex, your age, your belief, whatever religious group you practice. Seek consultation, follow the advice, do the measures prescribed. You will never regret you did. So it's far more than a religious thing. It's an Asian technology. And that's why you will see a lot of foreigners, North America, South America, Caribbean, even in Europe, coming to Nigeria to meet our elders, to meet some of us, seeking and using so many aspects of Ifa and Isheshe.
So are you saying religion and Isheshe are not rivals in any way. And then um, religion or Isese is not superior. None of them is superior to each other.
Oh, Isheshe is superior to religion. Religion
Isese is
is an opium.
superior.
Yeah, Isheshe is superior to religion. In Isheshe, we have religion, we have all other discipline, we have so many other things. Religion, Isheshe is a spiritual system. You can say that. And in every spiritual system, there are so many other aspects of life in it. But a religion is a religion where you just have to believe whatever your leader or your elder says to you. You cannot even question it in some cases. That is not Isheshe.
Mm.
I can give you 1,001 SFR from so many
So
odus.
in
That
Isheshe, so in Isheshe, if I consult, for instance, you do divination for me, I can I can challenge it, or I can uh,
question it.
controvert it. I can question it. In Isheshe,
Yes,
is
my
that
brother.
acceptable? Is that
It is very
okay?
acceptable. You can question what the owl said to you. You can seek explanation. And whenever an Ifa man or woman tells you, don't do X, don't eat A, don't behave this way, if you ask him or her, and if he's knowledgeable enough, he will give you reasons why you must not do it and the consequence of doing it. And you have a choice to make.
Interesting. So as it stands right now, I'm sure you're aware of what is going on in Ilorin, where somebody is being prosecuted for allegedly trampling on uh, Islamic religion. So they believe that it is a rivalry, that Isheshe is trying to rival Islam. So Ilorin people decided to take it up. So I'd like you to quickly, from that background, comment on this. So why do you think, if are you seeing that they are trying to use Isheshe to superimpose over Islam, and Islam is trying to resist? Or what do you think is the case? Because uh, from what you have said from the beginning, I can be a Muslim and still have recourse to Isheshe without a problem. But why do you think what is happening in Ilorin is happening in the first place?
Okay, what is happening in Loring is quite an unfortunate incident happening, especially at this time in that part of the world, in that part of our own country, Nigeria. And although what I have heard is pieces of what exactly happened, but from what I read and what I heard, even the lady who claimed to want to do a festival to one of the Orisha, that people were saying she should not do that because Ilorin is a Muslim area that is against Islam. Who is the person that Tani Olua is trying to support because as a fellow Sheshe practitioner? That's the whole gist that I got. Now, what I want to, even that lady said it. One of the leading group of Islamic followers or devotees that were against her have been to her, and she has had reason to appease or show for the man before the man have children. So many of our elders in all religious groups, I don't want to mention them, they still give offerings to this energy and forces that some people myopically call Orisha. Orisha are universal energy and entities. Christians, Muslims, Hindus give offerings and venerate them in their own way in so many ways, not different from what we in Isheshe are doing, but they do their own from a religious point of view. So it's quite unfortunate that that is happening. And I'm happy that, okay, law is taking its course. I am sure and I believe strongly, and we are supporting with prayer. Tanuluwa will be released unconditionally or whatever they give, and the case is going to be thrown out because he has no case to answer. So what is happening there is that, you see, I use that word. This borrowed, imported religion, they are actually the culture of other people. Islam is nothing but the offshoot of the culture of the Arabian people. Christianity is nothing but the offshoot of the culture of the Judaism. So their culture, their tradition, their own Isese, for want of a better word, is what they want to superimpose on people. And it's not acceptable. It's not acceptable.
So that takes me back to the question I asked at first, but I'm going to reintroduce that question now. Why do you think, or maybe you do not think, that this, in quote, borrowed religions seem to be popular among contemporary people in Nigeria than the indigenous faith they ought to practice? Do you not see it is those ones are more popular than it? And why do you think it is not as widely accepted as the foreign ones? What do you think is the culprit? Nigerians are not necessarily as widely open to Isheshe as they are open to the, in quote, borrowed religions.
Well, going down history line, we have colonialism. We have people who came to our land and tried to preach as if they have brought creator to them, whereas they left where they are because they wanted a better area, a better life, or greener pasture, as some people will call it. So Nigeria as a country is a makeup of the colonial masters. I normally tell our brothers abroad that Nigeria is a plantation, no more, no less. The north and south of Niger area were merged together for them to have easy rule. So, and when they came to colonize us, they claimed to bring religion on one hand, but they actually come for business, raw materials, and that leads to so many things. So this explains why the popularity of the imported religion against the indigenous one. That is purely where it started from, when they started telling our people that they want to give them education. My great-grandparents are well educated. Somebody who can chant a whole lot of Ifa without recourse to any book. And so they bring their own form of education and they institutionalize it with structure. Do you know that in those days, for anybody to go to school and be taught English, you have to be baptized? That's on the side of the Christian. And on the Muslim side, when they came in, they tell them you have to read, you have to study Al Quran. And that's another way of making sure they give them their own system of education. And this explains why they are very popular. Of course, vis-a-vis their holy books that they give on to people that people should read. But when you sit down and look at our society very well, even those at the helms of affair of those religion, they understand and they make recourse to Isheshe.
Well, without the I don't want to do anything that would be controversial, so that we don't get into uh, causing people to stir up reactions again. But when you say those who accept, or even who are leaders of these borrowed religions, are still making recourse to Isheshe, uh, you know, there's tendency for people to believe that you are simply saying that they still do traditional practices, even though they always claim that they never did or they don't do once they have accepted the foreign religion. Okay, but let's just
I can
progress.
give
I
I
asked
can give you an example. Professor Bolaji Idowu of blessed memory was a bishop of Methodist Church. His doctoral research was on Olodumare, God in Yoruba belief. These are documented facts. Professor Bolaji Idowu was a Methodist Church bishop. I hope I'm using the right one. But he did his PhD thesis, and the title of the thesis is Olodumare, God in Yoruba belief. So that tells you, is telling the whole world, this is my own understanding of the research work, that my people has a belief in their creator and they know their creator before the borrowed religion. I also remember I read one Archbishop Oladigbolu said he will never throw away his Opele because he sees Opele as a pathfinder, as a direction giver, as a GPS. Just to mention a
Okay.
few.
I know that if we continue, this topic cannot be exhausted in just one episode. But before we go for now, I want to ask you, a lot of people do not like indigenous faith practice for one reason. They said the foreign religions abolished many things that the indigenous faith practice is engaged with. For instance, they said ritual practices, and I don't know how you want to explain that away. Ritual practices. They say some people will use human parts, body, and so on to do rituals or
I didn't hear the last thing you
sacrifices.
said. Some people will use what?
Human parts, human blood. They commit murder to do rituals, uh, sacrifices, and they said those things have been abolished by the foreign religions that they now embrace. So, how do you explain that away? Rituals,
I
the
can
concept of
I
ritual.
can let me first tell you point blank that Isese practitioners, Ifa and Olorisha, we never ever, we don't use human as part of our offering or sacrificial materials. Let me make that abundantly clear that we don't do that. That's one. I can quote and support with so many SFA. Now, when you talk in terms of offerings and ritual, there is no religious organization that does not do that. Now, we
How?
use natural materials, food items, water, liquor. Now, when people talk about rituals, let me draw your. I don't know if you look at the last coronation ceremony in England about the new king.
I
I
saw
think
that.
the whole world can see what rituals are. They have a special stone, and they brought live goats onto the stage. And these are the people that brought their so-called religion to us and tell us the ways our ancestors have been doing it are not correct. It is not in all rituals that even animated objects, not human beings, are used. It is not in all rituals. Sometimes it's only water. Sometimes it's food items. And the creator, in the creator way, reveals self to all groups of people created. And there is no superiority in the revelation. Bí adẹ́dàá ṣẹ̀dá bó ṣe fọ́ra hàn wọ́n ní aké kò dára ju bó ṣe fara hàn wá lóko. There's nobody that can tell me that the way the creator reveals self to his or her ancestor are superior to the revelation to my own ancestor.
I'm listening, sir. Hello, sir, are you there?
Okay. So, yes, I am here. I am here. Are you hearing me?
I can hear you. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, I am.
So, are you saying
Okay.
so?
Yes,
So,
I am here. So, what
so
I'm
all
trying to say in a
religions
nutshell is
practice
that
ritual.
what is a ritual? It's an English word. Check the dictionary meaning of ritual. You wake up every morning, you brush your teeth, you bathe, you put on clothes. That's a ritual you are doing.
Whatever you do in routine is a ritual.
It's a ritual. The food that we eat every day is a ritual. And when we do ritual, because they are prescribed, we don't use human beings. And just the same, there are so many SFR, just the way some religious people will claim that the creator gave them dominion over X, Y, and Z. So also Ifa teaches us pé orí eku, orí ẹja, orí ẹyẹ, orí ẹran, ká fi máa tún orí àwọn ọmọ tiwa ṣe. That we use the head of fish, the head of rat, the head of goat to take care of the head of we human beings, not the head of a human being to take care of the head of another fellow human beings.
Okay, so that is the excuse many people give, the ritual practices for which a lot of people don't want to engage. But I want to ask you, after you have just said what you gave in response now, when you want to Isese people, whenever they want to have a special activity, they'll say, oh, if your goat is missing, you can look for it. If your any animal is missing, your dog is missing, you can look for it. But if a human being, your child is missing, don't look for them. Why that? Why such statement? It's scary.
Ṣẹ́gun ọkùnrin mi, gbogbo àwọn ọ̀rọ̀ báyẹn, ọ̀rọ̀ àsọdùn tí àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn àtọ̀húnrìnwá tán sọ láti fi ta àbùkù fún nǹkan abínibí wa ni. Irú eku kó má ra, irú ẹja kó má ra, irú ènìyàn kó má ṣe ra o, èjì ẹlẹ́mẹ̀rẹ̀ gbà wá o. Ifá in so many ẹsẹ̀ Ifá, orí eku, orí ẹja, orí ẹyẹ là ń lò lórí ọmọ èèyàn. Tó bá lórí ọmọ èèyàn, orí ọmọ ta ni? Gbogbo àwọn èdè yìí, these are statements that practitioners of the borrowed religion are making to call our dog a bad name. Látijọ́ tí èmi ti gbọ́njú, I am going to be 55 very soon. Èmi ò tí ì rí nínú àwọn àgbàlagbà òṣìwájú mi tán ní ọmọ lágbájá la máa lò, èèyàn la fi máa ṣe eléyìí o. I have never hear, see, or even know about it that any of our elders uses any part of our human being or a human being for any rituals. I have even seen cases when the person has enough money to buy animal and they tell him or her, in this your own case, we must not even spill blood, not a single blood. I don't even want to talk about those who they claim they use the blood of a whole human being to anoint for their own sin. That's a discussion for another day. Àwọn baba ńlá wa, àwọn ìyá ńlá wa, wọn kì í fèèyàn ṣètùtù. Àwọn ẹlẹ́sìn àtọ̀húnrìnwá yìí náà máa ń ṣe iṣẹ́ oríṣiríṣi alágbára tán máa láwọn ń lo ojú, lo etí, lo. We don't do that. Gbogbo àwọn ọ̀gá tí mo kọ́.
All those ones we see in the movie, we see some in the movie where you just see that it is the indigenous faith practitioners that the Babalawo will just advise and say you have to use human being for this, or maybe they want to do coronation of a king, and they will say, oh, we have to use the blood of maybe a stranger or somebody, and all that. We see these things in movie, including in Mount Zion films, where it is only when somebody accepts Christ, for instance, that they will now stop that practice eventually. We see it in movies. If it is not happening, they will not be representing them in movies.
My dear brother, I disagree with you. Who is the movie writer? Who is the producer? What is the house policy of the movie maker?
Experience.
What do they believe in? What do they practice? It's the same people that is behind all this. We have some religious group. Have you never seen some movie where the writer is specifically and exclusively promoting and projecting Islam over others? And there are some other movie writers that specifically and exclusively promoting Christianity. I think what we have to do is that we have to start writing our own movie and producing one and doing the same thing they are doing to us, to back to them. You want to talk about a movie that is condemning some aspect of Ifa tradition or Isese that was written, produced, and executively executed by a fanatic Christian or Muslim, and you want to use that as a yardstick for what my tradition is all about? No, that's not fair. That's very much unfair. You are muted, my brother.
Apologies. I said I wish. I think we want to end it here for now, and then because there's so much to talk about, but I don't want us to goof everything into only one interview episode. So I will bring you up again another time, when the time is also, auspicious, and then we'll take more questions regarding indigenous faith practice vis-a-vis other foreign religions. So thank you so much for your time. Good evening once again, and thank you everybody for watching. I'll bring Araba Olatunji Somorin up another time, and some other people who are also into indigenous faith practice. If you know anybody who is into movie making, who depict religions and all these practices in one way or the other, you can as well suggest that, because we need to clear all these things. We need to clear the parts that are misconceived. We need to clear the parts that are misrepresented. Araba Shumon, you're welcome. I appreciate your time once again. And then I hope you would avail us when next we call upon you again to come and help us through light into some other dark areas with regards to indigenous faith practice and contemporary religious practices.
Thank you for having me, and thank you, listeners or
All right.
viewers.
So that's a wrap. Yeah, so that's a wrap for from here for now. We'll see you guys again another time. Bye bye for now, everybody. Thank you so much.